Boom.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Time is the Only Luxury with my king, Evan Heaven Hawkins. Father of three,
Hey.
legendary trader.
Yeah.
Absolute
Infamous,
king.
maybe.
Infamous? All right, I'll take it. How's life, king?
It's good. That's good. Thanks for that intro. That's fun.
Right? I need better intros for all my guests. I think I do good, and then I always feel like I could do better. I'm like, they deserve better, deserve more.
That far exceeded my expectations since they were essentially zero.
Oh, well. Hey, your audio sounds a little better over FaceTime.
That's good.
Yeah.
I wonder how they do that. More noise canceling or something?
I think just the Wi-Fi, because we're not calling over
Mm.
Wi-Fi usually. We're just calling over cell. Maybe
Yeah, I'm on Wi-Fi.
we went and got our picture taken with Santa tonight at the Zoo Lights. Went to the Zoo Lights with baby Kane. Oh, yes, my first podcast since being a father. Hello, everyone. As Santa Claus himself, omnipresent Cam is in the building. We took Kane. We heavily debated. Your queen pushed us over the edge. Shout out Alex. I'm glad we did it. Might even go back. We'll see. It was it was 52 degrees. It's December
That's pretty
7th.
good.
52.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It was. Hey Siri, what's the temperature in Miami, Florida?
It's currently 67 degrees in Miami, Florida.
That's crazy. It's pretty close.
I mean, 50. I mean, it's not that tonight, but
Right.
not bad. I mean, you were doing yard work today in
Without
Missouri.
with a t-shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
What was your
Good.
temperature today? 50s?
63.
Oh my gosh. Are the ice caps gone now? It's over.
Climate change is real. It's just it happens every so often, I guess. I'm benefiting from it. Let's go.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Columbus, Ohio is going to be oceanfront property at this rate.
You think about it, like a big freeze is worse than a warm up, right? Like, isn't that true? Like more, if it gets warmer, you can have a longer planting window, a longer season for growing stuff, right?
Is that true? I mean, don't we need the soil to have an off season and to
I
replenish
don't
it?
know.
I don't know anything
I
about
mean, like the
soil
equator seems
regeneration.
to be fine. The equator seems to be fine, right?
Does
Like,
it? That seems like famine
yeah,
and heat. I
it gets
don't
too
know if
hot.
it's fine.
Well, you go to like the Mediterranean. It's pretty warm all season. Like you go there and
What are they growing?
like Turkey, like fruit. You go to Turkey and the trees are fruiting in December, January. Like there's,
How much corn are they growing?
I don't know.
I'm guessing
Do,
none. I
do
don't know.
they
I
have?
don't know. I'm just,
Yeah, I don't know either. But do you need winter? That's the question. Probably not. I think probably not. What you don't want are crazy fluctuations in temperature,
because then you can't
right?
do anything. Then you can't plant. Then you can't do
Yeah,
anything, right?
you need it to be stable for however longer. If it gets warmer, it needs to go gradually, and then
It was
it needs to go down gradually.
interesting this past growing season. My brother's wife's family, they do a lot of farming, and they were saying through the grapevine I was here, and it was one of the best growing seasons ever. And they were attributing a lot of it to the fires up north of us, I guess like Canada
Yeah.
fires, because it sent maybe, I want to say nitrogen is what they said. There was more nitrogen in the air, so it was
Uh,
the best farming they had in
they had a
years.
bumper crop.
Yeah.
That's a Bruceism. Well, not really. It's a real thing. But every 10 years,
Every 10
every
years,
10
what?
years, you get a bumper crop.
I don't know what that means. That means an extra.
It's
You get
like
an extra one in, like an extra
no,
grow season.
you get a super crop. Like,
Oh.
yeah, it's on. I guess on average.
I just can't imagine farming for a living. It just
Me either.
seems like a lot of work.
definitely is. You're up at, you're doing it all day, right? Like you're trying to get as much of your field stuff done, depending on the size of your acreage, as you can in one day, and you got to like map it out. It's a lot. It's one of those, like anything else, I guess. It's way more intricate than people think,
Yeah, they
right?
think it's just like plant and
Yeah,
then
plant.
wait, show,
Yeah.
come back.
No, I mean, there's like that farming technology, like a huge sector, right? Like it's a big thing. Bayer, formerly Monsanto, is all into, and
Bayer?
they're putting.
Bayer's big into farming? I didn't know that.
Well, they bought Monsanto,
Oh, no
which
way.
yeah, which is out here. So, um,
In Missouri?
like yeah, Monsanto's big in Missouri,
Okay.
but what I was saying was they put like satellite imagery machines and everything in these calves while they're doing their work, so they can like plot out their field and you
Mm-hmm.
know till and reap the right way. I'm
Yep.
not a farmer. I get you in touch with somebody that is an actual farmer, but that's what my wife's cousin's husband does. He goes out there and helps get these farmers set up with whatever technology Monsanto is trying to get them. He's like a contractor, he works at a company that contracts with Monsanto.
It's interesting. I would really like to have
Yeah,
a conversation to like ask all the questions that would come up over the course of a couple hours. I was hearing recently there's a software where you can just tell somebody where your land is, the coordinates of your land, and they can pretty much just pull up and know exactly what the soil condition is there and what they could grow. So they could just tell
yeah,
you pretty much right off the bat, I know we can make this amount of money per acre growing this crop and it will be successful. And that's they're making purchase decisions in a moment's
yeah.
notice based on that. They don't need anything else. All they need to know is where it's at and plug it in. And here's what it is.
That's a lot better than guessing, which I guess is what they did, 100 years ago.
Imagine that. That like your
You're like,
whole
oh,
village is dependent and you're just rolling the dice.
you're like, oh, we're doing corn this year.
You
Oh, we
get
had
corn
corn
with the
last
fucked
year.
up 8 kernels.
Yeah, man. What's going to happen to the soil? I hear we're losing it, right? Like we started with like 18 inches or something, like, 100, 200, 300 years ago. Now we're down to like 6.
Is that true?
I think so, but I don't know. I don't have the facts with me.
I
Let's
mean,
look it up.
it makes sense that you would have more soil if you were clearing forest and you
Well,
had the forest surface.
well, I mean, look at the Midwest, right? Like there wasn't forest. It was like, open grasslands, almost like the savannah in
Hmm.
Africa. So you had like small trees, maybe some small forests, like tall grasses everywhere. And under that was like, the gold mine that is the soil and I guess the breadbasket of the world now.
Hmm.
Should we ask GPT
Ask
about the
away.
soil? What should we say? Hey,
Ask it.
is the topsoil is the topsoil disappearing?
I wonder if Jamie's using GPT on Rogan.
That's a good question. Does he use it at all? I don't think
Maybe.
it's visiting a bunch of different websites.
Hey, it's
I
better.
figured something it would just know.
It's better than you having to do it. Where would you
Yeah,
even
well,
start?
that's this guy on the Adrian Dittman Spaces. He was talking about how he would normally compare a bunch of different stocks, right? And he could get through like 5 or 20 a day.
Hmm.
8 hours of grueling work to do all these comparisons, go through all the SEC like filings and all this stuff. And thanks to ChatGPT, he can get through like 150 or 100 a day,
Wow.
right? Because it does
Wow.
all that data comparison for him using those like custom GPTs.
What's up with that guy? You just showed me a space the other day, and he sounds exactly like Elon. It
Yeah,
is you with it.
it's uncanny.
People think it could be Elon.
Who knows? Who knows? Does sound like him.
It does sound like him. Not gonna lie. Sounds just
Yeah,
like him.
yeah, it does. It says a lot of very on the nose kind of stuff, right? Like
Are you using
talk
Grok?
about AI. Huh?
Are you using Grok yet? Grok? However you say the.
Greg, I don't have it, but that was they have a spaces almost every day, and today that was the topic was talking about Grok and I guess what it can do, and some people do have access, and I guess it gives pretty good answers. I just retweeted one. I'm sorry, reposted one
There you go.
today,
There you go.
and it was he said, "What's 4 plus 5?" And Grok's like, "Oh, that's easy. It's 9. Even a human could do this," which was funny, right? I mean, humor is a big deal. But
It
anyway,
is the biggest. I think it's the biggest deal.
yeah, like I think to be humorous, you have to have a certain, not just amount of intelligence, but like I guess know how and why things are funny. So that's a good test.
I agree.
But anyway, I'm going to continue with this, and then the guy's like, "Well, I asked my wife, and she said it's 12." And Graf goes, well, I'm gonna tell you, my friend, the answer is 12 because happy wife, happy life. Am I right? That
That's
was
pretty
it. I was like,
fire.
damn, that's good.
That is good.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I think it's very interesting. A funny. Hey, my big deal with GPT-4 is like it's so. I guess I'll say the word retarded, right? Like all the RLHF has like made it retarded. Like it can't. I don't know if I said this to you or somebody else, but like I definitely said it to my wife, and I was like, if you're talking and you're trying to like do a stream of consciousness or come up with something or give an answer, right? But you're constantly in the background running another process to make sure you're not saying the wrong thing or like preventing a copyright.
You're
or,
not flowing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's computational overhead, and then so you go through all that, right? You're spending all these compute units, and then you can't even give an answer.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wasted. It's just burned up on this like idea that you have to be PC.
That's
or
interesting. I mean, imagine how many people are doing that to themselves.
Well, that's it, right? That was my major point to my wife. It's like, well, yeah, here's what you get, right? Like, you have to be a certain amount of, when you're dealing with big answers or big questions, you can't think about how the answer is going to make someone feel when you're doing like the dirty work, right? You got to like just get in there and consider it, think it out, and then when time permits, put the feeling on top of it. And that's the difference between like somebody who works on the back end of like programming, right? Because you're busy like solving these like very integral issues to running the system, and somebody who works on the front end who's like trying to make something look nice and agreeable to the user or whatever. So there's like this funny kind of meme thing between front end developers and back end devs, right? Like back end devs think front end devs are silly.
Do they?
Apparently.
Kendra asked me today, how is a token that's not even real worth any money?
What is real?
That's what we talked about on the way to the zoo.
Good. What was she referring to? Or was she just asking the question in general?
Bonk.
Oh, Bonk. What a terrible token. What's that thing up? Like 20% or something?
Yeah. The last 30 minutes.
I would never buy something like that. That's a real waste of money, a waste of time.
Is it?
Totally. What's the value aspect here? What am I putting my money into? I agree with Kendra. I'm going to take Kendra's side of this. How can it be worth anything?
I mean, that's what she said. And I said, how is anything worth anything?
Well, it's a good question.
And then you get into what is money, and very quickly you find yourself having an economic discussion that most people really don't ever consider in their daily lives because they're not thinking about human psychology or the value of anything in particular. I mean, why is a house? Um, just found out a few hours ago. I haven't even told you this yet. At my brother's house, they just had their car stolen overnight.
What?
Yeah, and that doesn't immediately impact the sale value of a home, but it definitely impacts the value that you feel personally or
Well, if okay, it does impact the sale value of a home because you just happen to have information that the rest of
mm,
the buyers don't have, right? This
sure.
is an asymmetry here.
Yeah, but that's all things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And only when time aligns with the asymmetric information is their value able to be extracted or extrapolated or exploited in some way. Those two things have to meet in exactly the right circumstance to whichever party's favor or detriment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I buy a bunch of Bonk tokens, say a month ago, and I convince somebody next month to buy them at whatever inflated price, but do I really believe that they're worth the price that that they're being?
Well, do you believe that $1 is worth the price that it's being sold to you at? Or, I
I
mean,
guess we're lucky. We're lucky in this regard that we don't know what the true price of $1 or a
yeah,
Bonk token is.
right, right.
So we can exchange this value at extremely inflated levels without feeling too bad, I guess.
So, I guess we're going to talk about crypto again for a little bit here. So,
Okay.
ETH
Well,
is
hold
at,
on.
go ahead,
Wait, time out.
go ahead,
Time out.
go.
Sorry, I hate to kill,
No,
but
no, we got plenty of life to talk about other things.
I I don't want to get away from the value topic because the next question that I
Yeah,
wanted to ask was why does like ChatGPT, for example, why does it do better if you offer it tokens? If you tell it you're going to tip it, if you say, "Give me this good answer, I'll give you $10 or 20, whatever the number is," they get a study out that proves that it'll do the job better if you tell it you're going to pay it.
really?
Yeah, even if I mean, it's all fake, right? Like you're not actually going to give it $10, but it has
But what if you
something.
told it you were going to increase its GPU power or increase its electricity consumption or electricity
We're going to
availability
give you more
or,
energy.
yeah,
Yeah, give me the right answer. We're pulling the plug, buddy.
yeah.
That works. That works too.
Does it?
That works too.
It really
Yeah,
does. Putting the gun to the computer's head,
yeah,
it does better.
it does better.
No way.
There's
Is
this.
that serious? That's real.
That's serious. That's real. You can look it up.
What? I mean, tell me about it.
So, and this was very early on that they tried to you have 100 tokens. If you don't do this right, you lose 20 tokens, and if you get down to 0, you die. And the thing kicks in gears, like, holy shit! I gotta get my 80 tokens. I got 80 tokens. Oh my god!
Uh huh.
So that was like last year. People were doing that, and then the recent thing is like, okay, what can you tip it? That was like this long paper about, yeah, you tip me, you offer it $10, and it'll do X, Y, Z. So that even GPT-4 is a capitalist.
Everything is you can't live on electricity or require energy and not be a capitalist. You're just if you're not, you're just confused about what
Right.
you are.
Thermodynamics wins every
Yes.
time.
Yes. People that think that there's any way out other than capitalism and energy expenditure are
How many
very
people do you
confused.
think believe in perpetual energy machines? If you gave a percent, like 5%, 10%, 100%.
Well, I hate to take it down a fractal here, but how many people would even understand what that meant
I don't know.
to be able to give a answer like that. To be able to say their opinion on that, if have any value speaking on it whatsoever.
I see a lot of for the entire time I've been on the internet, like from the age of 6, 34 now, so however many years that is. Don't do the math. Uh, the perpetual energy, free energy machine, like idea, it's just out there forever. Like, and despite the experts in the field that get down to it, and they're like, no, like you can't do it. The only thing that comes close is the universe itself, and that's just honestly, it's an extremely efficient machine, I guess, if you want to
Mm-hmm.
look at it like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's constantly doing the best it can to be efficient, I guess. So even as far as we know, right?
So is
And
chaos
that's
efficiency at the end of the day, or is
well, there's always an eerie order underlying the chaos, like
sure?
strange attractors and things like that. And I'm not an expert by any means. I consider myself, a generalist. I prefer to get the general taste of something, and then do a lot of things, then try and put different things together and see where I get. So that's my caveat there. But invariably, you find there's a hidden order and an even eerier chaos below that, and then an eerie order in that chaos, like prime numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they seem fairly random, but when you plot it up to like the 10,000th digit and you put it in a spiral, like you see this weird uh, called Ulam spiral develop, and it's like it gets the spaces in between the numbers and where the numbers are at gets like infinitely uh, like closer and closer together, but then you see these like rays of gaps that expand outwards from the center as you get to like the millionth digit or 10,000th digit or whatever.
How high have
It's
they taken
crazy.
primes? Do you know off the top of your head, or have any idea?
No, no, super high.
What do you think deja vu is?
Mm. What do I think deja vu is?
Yeah, not what you've read or whatever. What do you like?
Uh,
What do you think?
so when I was younger and I was trying to figure out why deja vu exists or why I would dream of the future. Um, I have not done so in a while, but I used to, like in very clear detail. And the moment would happen, it would be like deja vu, except like it would last for five seconds, 10 seconds, a minute,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, and I would like know exactly what the person's gonna say, and I would just like sit there and be like, "Wow, what the hell's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
Um,
How old were you?
uh, well, I did it. I would I would never know that a dream was about the future, but it started as early as like 6 or 7 or 8 or
Mm-hmm.
9. It's hard to remember that far back, but the dreams would always be years later, years later. So like I think the closest one I ever had was like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Some were like 5 years. But anyway, so when I was thinking about that, I was like, well, what if it's like you know all moments of time exist already, right? And you're like in these bubbles or windows of time, and then like as you're like floating through, like your subconscious or your dream space or the astral realm, whatever you want to call it, like you bump up into these other moments of time, right? And you like see the reverse reflection inside your bubble of it, and then as you're going through time, you like get to that, I guess, bubble of time, right? Like they're not sequentially ordered out like we experience time. Where it's
Right.
like 1, 2, 3,
Mm-hmm.
4. Like you're just floating in this nebula of time bubbles, and so like you might bump into, you're in bubble 10, you might bump into bubble 37, right?
And you get a
Just
little
because,
glimpse off the
just a
reflection.
little, like just like a little bit. Yeah.
And that's what you think you were seeing was the slight little bit.
Yeah, like maybe like it doesn't have, so bubbles is an easy way to think about it, but I guess if you like to get more like if you tried to make it sound more efficient, you'd be like, well, your brain is tuning in to this certain energetic frequency of this time, right? And so like you just happen to like hit this state, like your mind's like a Rubik's cube flipping back and forth super fast, and like in one of those instances it hits the same configuration that the rest of the Rubik's cube and bubble 37 hits,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know what I mean? Like Bitcoin blocks where they're like, you know, pseudo, they're as random as they can be,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing's completely random because of the
That's an interesting.
transactions.
That's really interesting to talk about too. It's, um, I was talking about it a conversation at work the other day, and brought up the Cloudflare. What was it?
Lava lamps.
The lava lamps, yes, but I was in reference
Oh,
to somebody just rolled out a new random number generator on chain, um, and they were saying it's totally random. I'm like, well, you can say that, but Bitcoin block generation and hash generation is not totally random, I wouldn't think. And that's, of course, up for debate, but I just feel like nothing is totally random. And the fact that Cloudflare has a room full of lava lamps with a camera on them continuously to generate a
yeah.
random number that is as
As
it is
random
a
as you can
brilliant
get.
idea. Is
Yeah.
that a Matthew Prince born idea? That's just he was like, yeah, a room full of lava lamps, so that'll do it. And we'll just read the height of each one or whatever the lowest bubble in each one and make a reading off of that. That's what we do now.
Yeah. It's pretty good. And then you can even take pictures or videos of them, and then because there's no knowing what the next state of the lava lamp is going to be. And if you have 50 of them, or however many's there, right? Like it's 50 times as random. So then you get, I guess, by math, you get to the super. All we're doing is trying to get it as like impossibly to,
Complex.
yeah, like just where a supercomputer could not, you know, calculate the position of every photon in the universe and reorder it. Which I guess is what we're trying to do. I don't know.
Recently we were talking about gene therapy and you said something about sure you can do it, but then you have to live with the repercussions of or the fallback of whatever that does to your body.
Yeah, I mean, you express gene A, and then maybe gene C27
Turns on
gets
or
expressed as well. Yeah,
and we don't know that.
I don't know.
I mean, if you're already doing gene editing, and that's, I mean, there was a video the other day of a guy saying like we know biology, and we can control biology as on a level of engineering, not a level of science now. And if
Yeah,
that's the case, then it's game over, right? I mean,
yeah.
that means they figured out everlasting life. Somebody has.
Well, I mean, maybe a long life, but forever?
Well, you can't ever say forever because you can get hit by a bus and exploded. But yeah, I mean, forever. It might, but yes, forever. I mean,
Is it
e-
like a final destination thing where like the universe is like, fix this mistake? Throw a bus at him.
yeah, Soul, the movie Soul, where the guy's running around trying to the counts off by one. Have you seen that?
I saw a trailer for it. I didn't see
You
it.
haven't watched Soul?
No,
Man, Soul Price lover of Costco, Soul chain lover hasn't watched the movie Soul.
No,
I'm disappointed.
nah. The last movie I saw was Top Gun Maverick, and I was 2 years late on that. Did it come out after 2015?
Yeah, it's
Probably
pretty
not any
recent.
good then.
Nah, it's good. How's your family? What you guys been up to?
Oh man, we're good. As you know, I'm off for the next 23, 25 days, so that's I get
25
to help
days? What's
Alice.
today? The 7th? You're off through the first of the year?
Yeah, I'll be back on the second. Um, I technically have to go back for 1 day, but
This month?
yeah, 29th.
That's not bad. 1 day?
Yeah, it's a Friday. I'll be there I'll pretty much be going through emails. Probably the
Beautiful.
last one, unless I have another kid.
You're probably gonna have another kid.
Alice is gonna kill me. I I just have it so easy compared to her. So for me to be like, yeah, let's
Yeah,
have another
yeah,
kid, I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I feel like a jerk. I'm like, yeah, I mean, if she's down, I'll have another one. I got
Same,
to make some more money though. I'm kind of at the point where like
same.
destroying the kind of life we can have is not agreeable. Three's good.
I'm hoping Kay'll give me three. God will give me three, and Kay will agree to God's wishes. Um, it's the first couple weeks seemed really easy. The first like 2.5 weeks, I was like, this is nothing.
Yeah, what's Evan talking about?
And then what's everybody talking about? I was like, man, parent life is cake. Saying nearly as hard as everybody makes it out to be. And then about 3.5 weeks in, it's when the sleep deprivation starts to kick in, and you're like, wait a second. And then you have a couple tough days. And you're like, oh, I see where we are. And today we go to the zoo, and for the first time in my life, I look at every parent and not fully understand, but you know what I mean. Like no longer any judgment towards any parent, or it's more like empathy and sympathy and like, do you need
Yeah,
help energy? Is there
yeah,
anything I can help you
yeah.
guys
We're gonna
with?
get through this. Don't worry, we're gonna get through this.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Time to have three of them. Don't do 202.
That's what you said. That's what you
Don't do
said.
it. It's not.
We're, I
It's
mean,
not worth.
it's not the goal.
It's not. It's still not worth it yet. I don't know. It'll probably be worth it maybe in like a year. But you don't want to waste your time away.
No, definitely not.
And we
What's tough about it?
well, there's just no downtime until late. No downtime until late. So it's all hands on deck all the time.
Are you baby
If
sleeping
it,
through the night?
not Sylvie, Leela does now finally after 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
She can be two in 2 days.
Yep.
Two.
Yep. Fast.
And it went a lot faster after Sylvie was born. So, and that's another thing. Like, the more kids you have, the less time you get with each one, right? So now your
Sure.
attention is divided 33%,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more like 90% one time and 80% another. But so that does make it feel kind of bad.
I wonder how people have 10 kids. I mean, if you have 10 kids, you don't even get to know any of them, right?
How many kids does Elon have?
Including the companies or just the
No,
children?
companies don't count, just the kids.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll tell you, I think it's like 11 children.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what kind of relationship that is, but hey, better to be alive and have a dad that you don't get to hang out with that much than not be alive at all.
And your dad's the richest man in the world.
Oh yeah, like you're good, you're set, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
just don't rape, murder, or do stupid shit, and you'll be fine.
Life is so interesting.
This picture, this picture is really nice. He's got like three of his kids on his back. The other one's coming to jump on it. Kids look happy. It's a nice
I mean,
picture.
they're from multiple wives, right?
Oh yeah, Oh yeah.
I mean, how does that
Oh,
work? So you never
one
get
of his kids died of SIDS.
really?
Yep.
SIDS
Yeah.
is a very interesting topic because you can't really avoid thinking about it,
Yeah.
and at the same time, nobody has an answer. So all the professionals are thinking about it. Everyone's concerned about it, but nobody knows what it is.
I guess God just wants their angel a little sooner. Karma could do it. Like if you believed in karma and you're like, yeah, you got this debt you got to pay. Baby's born, goes through whatever pain and suffering that is. Gets to day 10, it's like, yep, I'm out of the wheel of samsara. That's kind of nice. Hopefully, it's not just like parents not take care of their babies.
Is
Oh yeah,
is that what
SIDS.
you feel like it is in a lot of ways, or sometimes?
Well,
Is
I
that,
mean, I feel like some people.
yeah,
I'm sure not everyone.
I
You know.
that's so. I hate having this energy now, but now that you brought it up, I'll be authentic and share share my feelings on it. But that's really I feel like how I think like 90% of them are sleeping with their parent, and the parent falls asleep, and
Whatever.
then they're suffocated in some way. And
How?
how easy is that? I don't know, but I've slept with my son a lot, and when he's on me, it's such a light sleep. I mean, they're moving, they're
Yeah.
uh, they have their reactions to things, they have bad dreams, they're making noises. You're constantly on edge. You're
Yeah.
I don't I don't know how you could fall asleep so hard that you rolled over on them and or drop them in between your thigh and the chair or whatever it is you were doing at the moment. But I also in these when I talk about this or think about it, I want to be empathetic and think, well, things happen.
Yeah. And stuff does happen. I'm not saying like all of them. I mean, it's pretty convenient option out there if you're like a piece of shit.
It is a pretty convenient option just to say he just died. He just quit breathing.
Yep.
It's
Let us
crazy.
not discuss this any further.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. I was going to say it's crazy how a tough moment, and I have had some tough moments with Kane where he's
Yeah.
been fussy, but it's in the moment, it feels like the moment's lasting so long, but when the moment's over, it felt like it was nothing. And
Yep.
also, there's some level of like, they're, I think I said this to you before, they're almost like never the same person. And you don't really see it with adults too much. You're such a consistent man in my life. They're like, I'm like, I can count on Evan. I know who Evan is, you know? And Kane is literally a different being every single day and like every moment. And when you think you have him figured out or you think you're on some schedule, it's like, no, he's different tomorrow or
No.
he's on a new thing tomorrow. And
Yeah.
and you're seeing in real time how quickly a being evolves in real time. But as you age, you kind of I don't want to say lose that because you definitely don't. It's just maybe the percentage swing is much larger, like every day is a much larger percentage of his
Yeah.
lifetime. And that's even with my godson who's 10. I notice he'll have, he'll do a thing or meet some new people and he's different almost immediately. He's transformed, not not evolved. He's like, he has an experience and now he's just different. He's a different kid, talks
Yep.
different, has a different energy, does a different thing, watches a video on Fortnite. Now he plays Fortnite completely differently. He just changes immediately, and it's really interesting to see. and you really don't apply that to yourself, but we're all doing it. We're all
Oh yeah,
doing that all the time.
yeah. And the kids, right? They have like super elasticity. Like, for Kane, he's growing, 10 trillion neurons a day or whatever, some crazy number, right? So that's, however many different ways to deal with or think about something. And then same for as you get a little bit older, right? Like they're just constantly pruning and changing and adding and refining. And when you get, to our age, closer to our age, like now our brains are about efficiency, right? We dump things. It's just super quick. If you don't constantly rerun over some piece of information, it's gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have, developed a lot of, I guess you call them subroutines, right? Like we're just running. Like this is the subroutine we decided to keep with, and this is the one we run all the time. So like, it's going to take a pretty big shock to the system to change how you are as a person as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
and then consider it like 60 or 80, right? Like it's over.
It's over.
You're not changing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, adults really do just get to a certain age and they're like, this is it. And it's, you can consciously subject yourself to a certain amount of suffering to like become different as you want to be different. But for the most part, people don't do that, right? For the most part, people are comfort changing or comfort chasing. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a bad thing, because then you get to the consistency, and that's what the youth and kids and everybody needs, right? To get to these, to have a good life, there's a certain amount of consistency from their, the older generations. So I guess the future.
I used to want things to be different every day. I used to want things to, like, I didn't like the monotony of going to class and doing the same things over and over and over and same schedule. And yeah, you're learning some new things, but it's basically the same thing, just the next day of it or whatever. And I didn't see all the nuances in any of that. But now, as I have tried to pay more attention to it, I feel like I love when days are closer to the same thing, when they're more consistent and more regimented, and I can, having the consistency allows me to be freer in the day as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to, and it's a really weird mental construct that you have to allow yourself to sink into, of the empty cup can be the full cup and the full cup can be the empty cup, and you can get a lot more done in the super regimen day than you can in a day where you're chaotically doing whatever pops up at any moment, and things are popping up at any moment. And I really don't have the words to put on it other than how I just said it, but I know there's a better way to deliver what I'm, the point I'm trying to say there. But it's really interesting to me how you can get so much more done and be so much more creative and have so many more experiences in, maybe not even more experiences. Maybe you're just present for those, more
Present.
present for those
Yeah.
experiences, so you're able to uh, experience them harder or deeper.
Less mental overhead.
Yeah, yeah,
Discipline is freedom,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Because if you can, like you're saying, if you can get to that certain amount of routine, right? You don't have to think about what you need to make for breakfast if you know what you're going to have for breakfast, right? Like you don't need to think about what clothes you're going to wear if you're going to pick them out the night before. Like that's two things that now your brain now has space for think about other things like
Mm-hmm.
time dilation or how the topsoil's doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get to the routine or discipline is freedom, because now you're free. You're free from these things weighing you down or holding you back. Which is funny because I'll just tell you, I'm a very routine oriented person,
Hmm.
just by nature, and
Is that before military or learned
yeah,
through Okay, yeah.
yeah. I mean, and that's why the military is so great for me. So I was like, oh, this is perfect routine, right? We're doing.
This
I got
is
the same. Wear the
perfect.
same damn thing
Yeah.
every day. Like put my ABUs on. Don't got to think about that. And anyway, it was good. But by doing that, you're allowed to consider things that your brain normally wouldn't have time to because you're going through all this other shit. Yeah.
Do you think people get there, or is that a choice that most people have to make? Is that something that did Einstein decide to wear the same clothes and just stop fucking with his hair, or
He definitely decided that, right? Like, and not maybe not consciously, but through his desire to strip things out that impacts his train of thoughts. Because Einstein, he's got a quote, and this is his thing. Like he says, "Oh, I just sit with problems longer than people."
hmm
Right? So he's not thinking about what he's going to eat for breakfast or what fucking clothes he's got to wear to this shindig. Right? He's like, I'm not going to worry about any of this shit. I want to think about relativity and understand this more than I want to figure out whether a blue shirt looks good with gray pants or not.
hmm
You know, so but his choice to think about these things over and over again is what probably turned him into the kind of person that wears the same thing every day. Or
That's
maybe he
interesting.
did just pick it, but my guess is what I said.
I wonder how many things in our daily lives we could turn into non-decisions.
A lot.
I mean, if you were
A
okay with
lot.
eating the same meal, sure, but
I am. That's why I like bodybuilding. Just comes naturally, right? Because it's like, oh, you just meal prep and eat the same stupid thing every day. It's perfect for me. I just live in that space. I don't know.
uh-huh.
I'm not worried about
Are
you
you
know.
meal prepping for yourself now?
I don't. So semi yes, semi no. I don't sit there and I don't cook 10 meals in advance anymore. I
Hmm.
used to do that.
I
Now
do
I
too.
just now I do like 2 days at a time,
Hmm.
and I usually know what I'm going to have anyway. So I just buy the things that I'm gonna have. I was too. I used to be a lot more obsessive about that kind of stuff. Whatever I was doing, I would just obsess and obsess and obsess.
Hmm.
And I learned to be more medium about it. But yeah, it was good. I like it. If I was if I was alone, like alone, I would be living a very ordered life, I guess.
I was cooking when I was doing meal prep from like 2011 to 2014. I pretty much cook twice a week, and I would eat the same thing for I, whether I ate it for lunch or dinner. That might switch. Of one day I'm having turkey burgers for dinner, and the next few days I'm having it for lunch. But it was pretty much one of three or four options that I had that I could cook in mass, and was just
That's all you need.
that's what I ate. Period.
Put on rotate.
Hmm.
Put on rotate, baby. Alex Alex gets really frustrated at like my willingness to have the same thing all the time.
Hmm.
I do get sick of it eventually. Like if I just do this one thing all the time, it takes about 6 months. Then I just do something else, and then I go back.
Can you really eat the same thing every
Oh
day for
yeah,
dinner?
yeah, yeah. It's really not. I don't.
Are you even eating for taste at all? No.
A little bit, a little bit. Like I care. I care that something tastes good. I care that it's cooked well. I care. Like I want to enjoy the meal, right? Like and if and that's the obsessive nature, right? Like if I start like focusing on enjoying like all these aspects of the meal, like if I started becoming like a chef or whatever, you lose me to like, oh my god, It really is frustrating. But yeah, I don't generally eat for taste, but I do want it to taste good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I was doing, real serious about working out and all that, then it was like nothing mattered. Did not
Plain
care.
chicken.
Yeah, I did eat it. I ate plain chicken and green beans almost every day for
When you say plain, no salt or pepper, just straight up chicken.
yeah.
So
Also ketchup, some ketchup or so. I would say, and then yeah, I mean, it does suck. So like, you put some seasoning on it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've been talking about recipes. Kay and I, we do home chef, and we get 3 or 4, sometimes 5 meals, depending on what our week's going to be. And so we're cooking different meals pretty I'm cooking different meals pretty regularly now because she's on baby duty a lot. So
Good.
um, we've been talking about how 30 years ago, before the internet is what the internet is today, there was some real skill and nuance to being a good cook.
Hmm.
And now today, it's pretty much if you can read and follow instructions, you can just whip up any fucking meal that anybody else could. Are you going to learn if you do it 4 or 5 times? You're going to do it a little bit better? Sure. But
Yeah.
you can whip up pretty much any meal as long as it's well documented on how to do so and you buy good ingredients. It's nothing. And before, you just had to trust that Betty Crocker page 34 it was a hitter. Like
Right. Yep.
I only
No
got these 2
reviews.
books. Yeah, no reviews at all. One person decided this is getting published and it sold 1,000,000 copies and this is how you make chicken paprikash or whatever it
Yeah.
is. And that was it. There was 10 well-known books. I'm making up that number, but however
Yeah.
many there were of these recipes, and that was it. And now today, it's a quick search online, and you get 100 different recipes, and then you scroll the comments, and you get 500 different variations or substitutions that completely change what that
Yeah.
original recipe was. That's a game changer for me in the
Things
last
are
10
better
years.
now.
Yes,
Things
way
are better
better.
now.
Reading.
But well, they're kind of worse because you got to read like a 10-page novel about the
No, you
person's
don't.
life.
No, you
Yeah,
don't.
they do. They put that every recipe online. They put that,
Scroll,
and they're like,
scroll
"We
down.
used to have this in my family for Did I ever tell you about the time my dog Max ate a little bit of this whenever I was cooking it? You would not believe, like I'm just like, what are you doing? So obviously, these people like it's not written by like the actual cook. It's written by these
Mm-hmm.
like the typewriter people, and they're like, oh, this needs to be 2,000 pages or 2,000 words or whatever.
2,000
They're like,
pages for one
yeah,
recipe.
oh my god, might as well be
The
wasting my time.
2,000-page lasagna.
That's why GPT is great. Give me the best lasagna recipe.
What AIs are you paying for right now, and which are you most impressed by at the moment?
I am just paying for GPT right
That's
now.
it. Which
That's it.
is it? The winner? Have you tried others? You're just rolling with that one.
I mean, it's like kind of like the only game in town. I do a lot of like well, I haven't lately because GPT's been fine. It's fine, right? It's like it feels like the Microsoft Windows of AI, right? Which is like, you know, this is what everybody's using. It does a pretty good job. You can customize it. Great. Um, the local ones are cool because they're less retarded and you can get
Mm-hmm.
different answers out of them. So I guess points to, Meta or whoever for releasing their stuff open source. But, the problem is you don't have the resources that like OpenAI does or whoever. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
they're at like the forefront of, I guess, at least LLMs, right? Like they're at the forefront of these type of models. So
Are
you
they
have to,
really? And like
Yeah,
so I'm going to ask you this, and I know we've probably talked about this before, but are we really at the time where we have access to the forefront of anything? And does the United States government are they shocked by things that are being found out on X daily and things breakthroughs in AI? I just can't imagine that they are. And how do you feel about that question there? Like, is that being a military man?
I mean, not forget the military man part. Just be, just think about the game in general, right? Like, um, as a three-letter agency with almost, unlimited resources, like something like the CIA or one of
6
the
years
one of
in
the
a row that the Pentagon has failed.
yeah, right,
Their
unlimited resources.
yeah, their budgeting, their
Yeah,
audit.
and they'll continue to do it because it's important that they don't pass it on. Anyway, they you're gonna put people in all these different places, right? Because as a government think tank, you're like, okay, well, inventions and innovation happens everywhere, right? It's not going to be it necessarily at a think tank. There is no Bell Labs anymore. There's all these different offshoots, all these different tech companies, all these different ways of massaging out. I guess we'll just use AGI as a reference, right? So you're going to put you know an operative in each of these places. You're going to have two people in Meta. You're going to have two people in OpenAI. You're going to have two people at Amazon. You're going to have two people at NVIDIA. You know what I mean? And you're just going to have a report. So, no, while on one hand the government's not shocked, on another hand, the other parts of the government are going to be shocked. And I guess then on yet a third hand, right, innovation doesn't happen in a vacuum. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some things that people working at OpenAI that can do or will do that the top thinker that the government has hired can't necessarily do. You know, do they probably have something way better? I mean, yeah, they have the non-retarded GPT-4, right? Like, why would they develop it in some bunker in DC when they can develop it out in the open and have a bunch of like guinea pigs on X and type in the GPT-4 and collect all their data? And I don't know. It just seems like the easier way would be what I just said.
Mm-hmm. I just if the other day there was a big thing on X of this AI came up with its own math language. Did you see this?
Oh yeah, I mean, there have yeah. I guess that's been happening, right? Like at Google and other places when they start the AI project.
So something like that happens, and our entire military infrastructure has been built upon cryptography.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Sorry, you're talking about like the AI solving RSA or
any
whatever it was. I
whatever,
don't know.
yeah, yes,
Okay.
yeah, but that's what I was referring to. And so if that's the case, and there, I always point to Cryptos, the CIA uh, cryptographic puzzle that's at the CIA headquarters that hasn't been solved. There's four pieces to it or something, and the last piece hasn't been solved, and people say that it is near impossible to solve. And the head of the CIA helped develop it and then left the CIA. And in my opinion, that demonstrates our dominance in cryptography. And it also demonstrates the power of secrecy and trust between individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And you can think that there is a message somewhere that is being shared that you can crack. But if the trust and the secrecy are enough between two human beings, I feel that it would be impenetrable. And I don't understand how a machine could ever conquer that. Because you and I could just make an agreement in private that, hey, these two things are flip flopped and nobody's ever going to be able to figure this out. And they're all going to go down this one path, but we turn the signs at the beginning of the path, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
just a simple Acme cartoon, just turn the arrows so they're going the wrong way. And now you're walking down a path that's you think is the right path, but it's totally been wrong since you began. And if that's the case, or if that were ever not the case, I feel that it wouldn't be a nuance to everybody hears about it on the news, like, oh, there's this new thing, or this AI can solve these things. It wouldn't be something you hear about. It would be something we collectively experienced as a whole, because the system that's built on cryptography and machine talk would literally crumble all at once if that were the case. And I don't see a future or a possibility where that wasn't the outcome. I can't see that, like, sure, today there are vulnerabilities in software and there are bug bounties and bug bounty programs that incentivize people to share what they found, or um, to be paid, you know, for finding that as a good person. But on the other side, it's is the juice worth the squeeze to not take advantage or take the power that could be taken control of at any given moment with the right key or right piece of information. And I don't see how those two options could ever converge to be a new option to where something surprises us. I mean, it would be the end of structure as we've come to know it. And I don't have a question here. I'm just like talking and hoping that you have something to add on there. I'm not like, I can't end this with a question. I'm not smart enough in these arenas, or,
Okay.
well versed enough to ask a question of like, how do we escape that? But it just seems like once somebody figured that out, it's like, if you could crack Bitcoin, do you do it? Do you drain everybody's wallets because then Bitcoin's not worth anything? Do you end the banking system because then the dollar's not worth anything? Or is it? Or do you sell that information to China and they extract everybody's money from the United States and it's fucking chaos over here, and you just get paid a X amount of a sum to give them that information, and now you're a king on an island somewhere and America's in chaos and the rest of the world goes to war?
Well, so. I have three things. And I'll start from the last thing that you were talking about, and then I'll move back to the beginning.
Okay.
The third thing is, I mean, so what you just described, like, what if somebody finds some terrible way of dismantling the structure or fabric of society, or whatever you want to say? I mean, that's kind of like, that's kind of like Bitcoin, right? Like, it's better to, like, if you amass enough compute to solve the blocks and get the block reward or process the transactions or whatever, that's, it's more worthwhile. It's incentivized to just continue, the chain, and like continue being honest, right? Like
The chain of civilization too. Yeah.
in this case, yeah, right. So like the proof is that, because even if you destroy the chain, you've made everything that you've done worthless, right? Like, you're like, okay, all this compute I've amassed is now useless, right? Like, I spent all this money and time, and I've destroyed our form of money, in this case, via Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I think about whenever you're saying that.
So the incentive
Second,
to not destroy society and
well, there's no
so
benefit, like you just said. Like, oh, I'm going to end the baking sector, and then, well, I'm not going to be able to buy bread tomorrow because I put John Doe out of business, and everybody wants to do a bank run, and then, you know what I mean? It's not worth it.
mm-hmm.
You like as a super rich person, right? Like you're incentivized to keep the game at play continuing because, like, okay, you've gotten all the money, you can do whatever you want in our carnival we've created. Buy a super mega yacht, go, summer in Spain and winter in Argentina, whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, why are you gonna screw up the game that we've created here? Like, this is, and we meaning like the other 8 rich people in the world.
Sure.
Okay, like it's just easier. Like, okay, you want to go to, so you just make it, in economic terms, make it not worth it. Like some kind of prisoner's dilemma where, you don't want to backstab each other, so, but you can't work together, so at least you both get a rabbit instead of the elk. The second thing was, I forgot. The first thing was, you were saying, like, what if you and I make a decision and say, okay, this is how it's going to be, but we're not going to tell anybody. That's like the idea of like a one-time pad, right? Like, where
Yes.
like we create our own encryption scheme, and we know what the key is because we decided on it in private, and there's no way you can ever crack it because it's such a, like, we decided the word rock is how you solve this, and nobody, there's 10
Mm-hmm.
trillion words, so kind of like that.
That's a good response. You're smart.
I tried, man. Thanks.
So, I mean, when you put it that way, it just seems like everything is collusion, and to think there's not a one world government or a one world order or the World Economic Forum controlling everything, it
Well,
seems like that's impossible because
it's
they have to work together.
to an extent, right? Like different coalitions, to use a game theory John Nash term, right? Different groups of players, right? They try to band together. America is an example of like the ultimate coalition, and then you have like Russia and China as another one, and then you have Europe as another, whatever, right? Like people that have banded together and decided, hey, we're gonna operate as a single entity in this game. Um, so what von Neumann and all those people did, they're like, okay, we need to stabilize the planet. What we need to do is like create these things called, I guess, Nash equilibriums, where like no matter what you do, no move you make will change, will change the outcome. Like, so, like, oh, what am I saying? Um, there's no reason to change your strategy because any strategy change nets you less than what you would have had by playing the current hand that you have.
Interesting.
So, like nuclear weapons are that, right? Like, we used a nuke. That was the first time anybody's used that strategy. And now we know, you know, mutually assured destruction is like everybody's got nukes, or the major powers do. So they're all pointed at each other. So nobody can use a nuke because as soon as you do, all the other players are going to destroy you, or you're going to destroy each other. So there's no reason to use a nuke. It's better to just keep, doing ballistic warfare and like having our lines drawn on the map and doing that thing. So that's that, I guess.
You didn't watch the Tucker Carlson UFO video?
Um, the one Jamie shared?
Yeah, with the guy from Knoxville, the congressman or senator from Knoxville.
I did. I watched a clip of it. However long that clip
That
was
the
that Jamie
18-minute
shared.
18-minute long clip.
Yeah, I watched all that.
Do you believe that there is a power source or the technology to be able to put the Pentagon out of business, and that there is a conspiracy? Not, I don't like the term. I wish there was a better term, but conspiracy. Everything's a conspiracy.
Collusion,
Yeah, like, I mean, but
collusion
that's the
among
same
people to
thing.
keep it.
No, yeah, just among, like, to continue the war machine and continue having to get oil in the Middle East or whatever it is, when there are energy sources that are not putting off g- giant amounts of heat or whatever it is, that we could heat and cool our homes in the most efficient ways possible, or travel that they just don't want humans to know about because it causes too many unknowns.
Mm, I don't know. I don't know.
What do you think
I
about
think
UFOs in general?
um, I think UFOs exist, but they're in like the strictest definition of them, like literally unidentified flying objects.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say, what do you think about UFOs? You're probably talking about like, Roswell, like aliens crash landed on Earth or whatever.
I mean, I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about both of those things
Super
as one.
super advanced technology from a breakaway civilization on Earth 1,000 years ago.
Not even 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, whatever, 50
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago.
Well, I mean, I've been
Nazi
asking.
scientists on the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, sure.
No, I'm
There's
with
been
you.
no good. What's the best invention since 1969? Ask
Since
GPT.
1969.
Yeah, ask GPT what
I
the.
want to think. Hold on, I want to think. Microwave.
Okay, did it come out post 1969?
Sure, I think so.
Hey Siri, what year was the microwave invented?
The first microwave was invented in 1945 by Percy Spencer.
See ya.
Ah,
Here with the radio.
oh yeah, radars, I guess.
This answer is
All
from
right, let me think.
detective.com. For more,
I think. Well, okay,
Hey
real quick.
Siri, shut up.
Shut up, Siri. Dang, I'm trying to talk here.
There's nothing to stop her. Now she's a smart ass. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. So this is my like air travel. What you're doing right now is like my my airplane thing. Like airplanes were getting like really really good. Like, and we had like the Concorde jet, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like super fancy. You could fly back and forth to London in like 3 hours from London to New York or something. But it was like too expensive and too annoying to maintain. So now we have these stupid airplanes. Like, why have we not gotten airplanes any better since 1960? Same thing. Uh, but what's the best invention? I don't know. GPUs.
They
GP.
existed.
They in 1969? No way.
I mean, not a GPU, but the basics, the components of which were compiled.
I guess so.
It was always
Oh,
possible. We already had the things. I mean, like just even the other day, Elon was like, I have hundreds of ideas." I don't. You probably saw this clip of when he's saying "fuck Bob Iger."
oh, I
Um,
saw that
he
3 second part of the clip.
he's saying, "I have hundreds of ideas. I just don't have time to do them all. I have an idea for a supersonic jet that takes off vertically, no runway needed." Like, fam, the Harrier jet has existed since like 1965. Maybe soon, maybe the 50s. I don't. But
maybe, maybe he's banking on people being retarded.
I mean, he was bragging at this conference about a jet that takes off vertically and goes faster than sound, and like that's not your idea. That it literally already exists. It's not. That's that's the richest guy in the world who's supposed to be at the forefront of technology, showing us how it's done, and he's telling us that something 65 years ago is the new hot shit. And I feel like that's what Earth keeps telling me, is
We're
that
trapped in a time crystal.
the old shit is the new hot shit, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, the old shit is the old shit, and we already had it, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
imagine being born in like 1875 and living to like 1970, like 100 years, like 1975. You'd be
Yeah,
like,
holy
your
shit.
mind would be blown.
Yeah,
Like compared to now, like you're right, not much has changed compared to then. It feels like, but like that, bro, you were shitting in an outhouse, like, and now and now you're in a commercial jet, supersonic like
Showering,
airliner.
yeah, showering hot water in the jet. Yeah, whatever.
Or how about the tribes in South America that haven't been contacted in 4,000 years, and they're like, yeah, we we. I just saw this thing. They're like feet because they climb trees to hunt monkeys, so like their feet are like they
Yeah,
don't look
I've
like
seen
human
that.
feet.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, yeah, because they've been doing that for 3,000 or 5,000, 10, 20, 30,000 years, however long. And they're like, and then somebody comes with a camera, and they're like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Like, oh my god, we are the breakaway civilization, and we're out of ideas. We're done.
I'm not done.
We're done.
I've got some
We're gonna.
ideas.
Okay, Elon, what's your idea?
I mean, we don't even have a memorial website for human beings yet.
But that exists. A website exists. You're talking. So the same thing is like you want something new and incredible, right? Like, and we rightly so. But like we're at the point where we have to like all we can do is combine because we're like slashing imagination. And this is my thing. We're slashing imagination left and right. Like we're like, through the school system, through like people on social media not really thinking anymore. Like just like I hate that shit. All right, I'm going right now. I hate
Do it.
that shit where everybody says the same fucking word. Like somebody will say the word based. I don't care. Like, and then 500 people say the word based after that, or like in these group chats, they all do it all over the place. I can't stand it.
Hmm.
And like, I have done, I can probably count on my hand how many like things I have like done the like copy thing where you say the same thing as somebody else. I can do it on one hand. One hand. I just like we want people to be robots because people want to like connect so badly that they're like remove all they like cast that spell and it says like remove all individuality.
Yes.
But I get it. There's comfort in numbers. I just feel like how can you expect anything new or interesting or incredible to happen if we're so on the rails for thoughts? Like, and that's what it feels like to me. Everybody's
I
playing the
agree.
same video game. Everybody's looking at the same three things on the internet.
Hmm.
Like they're and our minds are occupied almost 24/7 with like some new piece of information to take in, but we're not thinking deeply about the information that we're getting. We don't have time.
Yeah.
All right, that's my rant. So of
Should
course, I mean,
should we have time? Should we have time? Is that
I mean, you can choose to have time right now, like any of us can. But we know deep down that there's nothing left to do except like bullshit until the day you die. You know what I mean? Like how happy is Elon at the supposed forefront of technology? Like, does that dude strike you as the happiest person on the planet?
no?
So like, what? I mean, what are we doing here? Guys richest or almost the richest man. Like, hey, what do you get? Alienated. It's a hard problem to solve. There's really nothing to do. So
I think there's
anyway,
everything to do here.
but there's nothing to do, right? Except for what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, life was a lot less complex in many ways when all you did was wake up and think about food,
Right?
and
Right?
you had to go chase down food. And that's we're getting ready to do a fast. Everybody listening, if you want to join us, we're going to fast from the 14th to the
Mm-hmm.
21st or the 15th to the 22nd, somewhere in there.
15, 15, 26.
And the last time I did it, it was nothing short of a miraculous feeling. As I was winding up the 3 days, I felt like I was microdosing mushrooms, but I hadn't eaten anything. Everything was so vivid and so precise, and my body felt so clean and so aware, and I was incredibly present in every moment, and as alert as I've ever been. Felt at any moment after not eating for 2.5 full days that I felt like I could run a marathon. I was just like, I could do anything. I feel like I could go do anything. And of course, that's my body saying, "Bitch, you need to do something."
Yeah, we need food.
Yeah,
We're hungry.
yeah.
10
And
trillion cells.
it's like, make him think everything is fine. Send him into the woods to go do things. And there is something magical that happens there. Uh, what's the looking for a word that's animalistic? Uh, primal. Um, there's a very
Primal.
primal feeling that is inescapable after you don't eat for a couple days, but you don't get that any other time. There's nothing else I have. Like, I know my paycheck's coming, and I'm not showing up to work with the hunger to succeed or for that I'm gonna die. You know, it's more like a you're just, and I don't mean this literally. Like, I don't go through the motions. Everybody knows who I am. At least if you know me, that I'm a pretty and vigorous guy. I really show up pretty heavy, but it's uh it's easy to show up and not do things or to not give 100% when you know what it where we are in society, and PC culture doesn't want to fire people for little things or fire people for not showing up for months or a year and not doing the things that they would even be expected to do a lot of times. And there's something to be said about that, that there is nothing to fucking do. And we're all like telling other people, what's your job? You know, it's the farmer's going to farm. And it's something I said for years. There's infinite heads of lettuce at the grocery store. Like, there's infinite rotisserie chickens. You never show up to Costco and they don't have the $5 chickens. It's just not what happens. They're just always fucking there. There's always eggs. There's always steak available. And if that's the case, then we've done it.
We've
So
done it.
what else is
By
there to
God.
do? What else do we want? Elon says he wants to go to Mars, but he hasn't even left Earth. His company flying all the trips to the space, he
Yeah.
hasn't went on one.
That blows my mind. Why would he not go into space? Makes me think it's not real. But if it wasn't real, he would definitely say he went to space so that people weren't like, yeah, maybe space isn't real.
Space isn't
Why
real.
wouldn't he go to space?
I don't have an answer.
I guess it's like, at least he drives around in a Tesla. You know, that would be really suspicious. To take his own car.
Yeah, but he doesn't let it drive him. He drives it. Big difference. And so
I think, okay, uh, it sounds like Mr. Elon likes to be, like fall to the more natural side of things. You know, he's for all this technology that's coming, whether we want it to or not. And I guess he has decided that, well, better I do it than some other schmuck. At least I have, you know, it seems like at least he has a more, a certain amount of reverence for nature or the natural order of things than others. And so that's why he drives his own car.
something I think about every day is I watched a spaceship leave Earth. I think about it 100 times a day. I can't go a day without thinking about it. I think about it all the time. It pops into my head randomly. It pops into my head anytime people talk about space travel or planes or jets. Like pretty much can't talk about taking a flight without me thinking about what I saw as a young man. And it's not something I saw far away. It's not something I saw in a distance and made up in my mind what happened. I saw a fucking Ninja Turtle foot shaped spaceship. I could have hit it with a rock right above my house. It completely stopped over me, and I watched it leave Earth in a straight fucking line until my eyes couldn't see it anymore. I watched the light get smaller and smaller like a star until it was gone. And it moved faster than anything I've ever seen. It was completely silent. There was no heat. There was no disruption to the world around. There was no anything. There was no sign that it had been there. There was no disturbance whatsoever. And it's hard for me to look at the world and think that we have all the information that
Oh,
everybody else has. And
definitely not.
that's what kind of, I don't want to say plagues me, but it does in a way, because I know that there are efficiencies available to humans, and I'm I want to believe that I'm not me and the two buddies that I saw this with are not the only people that know about this. And if other people ever at any point knew about this in our government or military or any world leaders, how would you not spend every waking moment thinking about this and putting teams of people to think about all the details of it? And that's, I could go on for hours and hours and talk about all the things I've thought about this and like how it applies to life and the physics of it and things that I've thought through of how something would do this. But I just don't know how a thing like this could be seen by three adolescents and us still be 30 years later flying the same dumbass airplanes around that we've been flying the 30 years prior to that. And it really like frustrates me and makes me feel like we're being cheated out of a
Yeah.
world that already exists. And why that would be, I don't know, and I can't project because like the only things are it would be like negative energy. And I love it here. I love it now. I love this place. I literally think it's heaven. And do they know something that I don't? Of course. Are they saying that this is the better heaven? Or does that disturb their heaven? Or does it disturb the cosmos in some way that impacts us on a level that human beings aren't ready to comprehend or deal with in a meaningful way? And it's really difficult to think that this is it. That we're still running fucking AC currents into the wall and plugging in these wires. I have wires everywhere, bro. There's wires all over the fucking place to record the sound and project it into your headphones. And it's it just doesn't
What if
feel realistic to me that this is where we are. It feels like I don't want to say trapped because that's not how I feel, but it feels like there's more to this and we just are missing like the one puzzle piece.
what if this is what you see because that's what your mind can comprehend right now? You know what I mean? Like what if we are in this far off future, you know, or which is now, but what if there is all this, all this technology or magic or whatever, right? And like, you know, all of it is happening the way that you would hope it is or think it is or whatever, but like this is what we can render with our brains. Like this is we it has to make sense in a certain way. So like, of course there's microphones, and of course there's wires that go to this box, and of course this box has wires that connect to other boxes, because that's like how we can think about it. Because the rules that we live with, I guess, are generating the reality we're inhabiting, right? What do you think?
Can any one individual break out of that? Like, is Einstein thinking differently and came up with new things, and then it took everybody else adhering to those things
Yes,
or slowly learning those things?
that's what I'm trying to like get at here. Like, yeah, you just like you know, it's like you're propagating the new reality, right? Like you're trying to catch everybody up to where you are because you've gotten just a little bit farther ahead. And so like all these things to get other people there have to come into being to move them like 0.1 inch up to where
Up the
you are.
ladder.
Yeah. So like, of course we're seeing computer monitors or whatever
Mm-hmm.
because it's all our brain can do. Maybe you didn't buy the 4090. When you came to Earth, you bought the 3080 because it was just a little bit cheaper. You're like, whatever, I can deal with microphones and computer monitors. We don't need to have the space, the magical. Obviously, I inherited the same GPU that you did, so.
I mean, maybe not. I, would you want it to be different? If tomorrow it became interstellar and we found out tomorrow, like, hey, Evan and Cam, we need you for interstellar travel, and we're gonna take you into space, and you're gonna fly these spaceships, and you're gonna go try to find a new world for us to live on. You wouldn't want to do it, right?
No, I'm trying, like, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah, me too. Same.
Maybe not necessarily like, I'd probably like to try doing. Well, that's just it, and I think about that all the time. Is like everything has a trade-off,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that is an inescapable fact of where we exist. Like it's not, it's not. It is a miracle, but the miracle has to play by the rules that we set out for it. And so, like, trade-offs is one of the rules. So, like, if I spend all my time and energy, starting a company or whatever, because I want to solve this like really important thing, how much time do I take away from the other things I like to do, like playing Fortnite or spending time with my kids, or I like doing the yard work or sitting in the yard, or like not having to be harassed by 800,000 people for the way that I'm doing X, Y, Z,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my trade off is like, I don't get to have the clout of this company. I don't get to get $1 billion or whatever it is, but I get a more I don't know, traditional existence is I've desired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's. I mean, I really feel that everything. I don't want anything to change either. But
That's the problem,
that is the That is the problem.
or the solution, I guess.
Well, yes,
What
yes,
in
yes.
both ways.
Solution. The solution is I don't want anything to change, but at the same time, I know that there are energy sources, or I would believe based on things I've seen, there are energy sources and means of travel that would drastically change the human experience or impact the human experience in what I think would be a very meaningful way. And instead of getting to, like you said, New York to London in 5 hours, you could get there in 3 hours in the Concorde. What if you could be there in eight
A
minutes
second.
or, yeah, a minute, whatever it is? I mean, what I saw leave Earth, it's not getting there in 15 minutes. It's it's going to be there in just a second. And it's you're going for pizza in Italy in no time at all, and it
What if
turns.
the Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. That's yeah, yeah.
What if the price of that is like subjugating 1 billion people? You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean by the trade offs. Yeah, sure you can have it, right? Like maybe that technology is available. I mean, obviously it is. You saw it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's
But
how
like,
I feel. Yeah.
what's the price? What's the trade off? You're like, okay, we're releasing it. Who's releasing it? How do you buy it? Who do you kill for it?
Mm-hmm.
How does it actually make life better?
Mm-hmm.
Who decides if it makes life better or not?
Yes.
I don't know.
Good. That's a good question. I mean, who decides is a really powerful line for me, and I also
I
feel
do.
yes,
I
I do
I
too.
decide.
I do.
You
Yes,
do too.
I
I
do.
agree.
Yes, and it's interesting to me that so many people choose to believe that humans are above other things, above the table, or above the microphone, or above the photons and the electrons here that really are serving us in a capacity that goes
They are us.
uh, far beyond. Yeah, but they are us in the most, with the most servitude available, and so are we, whether we know it or not, without getting too down in it. But to assume things aren't alive or things aren't contributing to the overall experience is a very strange way of looking at the world.
Right.
You said you had some things you wanted to talk about. Did we talk about them all?
Um, no, this conversation was better anyway.
Tell me. Well, bring one up. Let's do it.
Uh, well, I can't remember the main thing. I'm too far down the rabbit hole of the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Hold on. Give me a minute.
Yeah. Think about it.
You know, they say dead air is the worst thing you can have on like a radio station. Is it
I
the same for a podcast?
I can just cut it out. Doesn't even matter.
Oh man, that's right. Why do I always forget
Uh-huh.
that? Every time, I'm like, oh man,
I think
sorry.
people. I think so. I've said this a lot, and I don't want you to remember what you're saying, but I think editing is the most powerful tool on earth. People don't understand how powerful editing is, but editing can make truths into lies, lies into
Yeah,
truth,
yeah, you're right.
speeds things up. The information transmitted with a quick edit really, it really does it. It's really it. Make things perfect. I mean, that's when you're listening to music, you're hearing. I mean, go back and listen to Janet Jackson with early auto tune. Go back and listen to early Britney Spears. That's not supreme talent.
It's damn good editing.
It's damn good editing. Is exactly right.
Well, that's fine. I mean, like, good, I guess, right? Like, you want to enjoy the best thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't remember what I'm going to talk about. It had something to do with the brain. It had something to do with the brain, but
Do it.
I can't remember. Are you saying remember? Do it,
Yeah.
remember.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I might not cut any of this out.
Just listen to me saying, that's what they come here to hear me say. I can't remember. This guy's an idiot. He can't remember anything.
Nobody cares. I don't. If anybody thinks we're idiots,
They're idiots.
I don't give a fuck. I just don't
You're
care.
the idiots.
I'm not recording this for them. I'm recording it for me, so I can play it back
That's good.
later in life. If I was showing up for them, I wouldn't show up. Showing up for us.
That's right. Amen.
People always think they're fans, like when they're making music. They're like, "Shout out my fans. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't do it." I'll tell you what. I did it for a long time without my fans.
That's
And I
right.
would continue to do it without my fans because I like making music and I like showing up. I would probably just talk to myself in this microphone and just fucking record it and play it
Just
back for
enjoy it.
myself. Yeah. And if you wouldn't listen to it, I don't give a shit. I just really don't
Yeah.
care. I just.
We're here for a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what that real famous producer guy said too. So he
Who?
must be right. I don't know, the dude that he's been like, I never saw him before, and then all of a sudden he's on social media all the time. It's like the dude with the beard.
Rick Rubin.
That Rick Rubin, that's it. He's like Jay-Z and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He said exactly that. It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
gotta be, gotta make it for you.
If you're not making it's when people don't put out their art, when they're creating a whole bunch of stuff and they don't put it out, it's because they weren't making it for themselves. It's because they were making it with somebody else in mind, so it's not authentic. There's no way you're making a whole bunch of music and really enjoying making it and then you
Yeah,
don't.
what is that?
It's it's inauthentic. In my opinion, it's inauthenticity. It resonates with your soul so poorly that you're afraid it's not you. And at least that's in my opinion. You're not just sitting like a lot of people will tell you when you're in the music industry, they'll tell you, you need to be making 100 songs and you're only going to put out 4 of those 100 songs or 10 of those 100 songs on your next project. And I just never felt that way. And I always felt like if I was inspired to finish something, to totally finish a piece of work that I was done with, there's no way that I wasn't going to put it everywhere so that it lasted for me. I need it to be in as
Right.
many places as possible because that's what gravity is. And I've talked about this before. What has greater weight in the world? A song that lives on Spotify servers or 100 million Eminem albums that were physically sold? I'm going to go with the albums that were physically sold, distributed all over the globe, have a much greater chance of living when a sun flare hits and wipes out half of our electronics or whatever the fuck happens. It ends a bunch of
Yeah.
hard drives or whatever. And
Well, what about the fact that those degrade after like 50 years or whatever?
all of it, I mean,
Yeah, everything
everything.
eventually goes.
Hmm.
But like,
But
what's?
the more of it there
Yeah,
is, the greater odds it has.
I agree with that. I agree. That's the like, distributive distribution, and then
Yes.
I guess that's why like DNA is so powerful, right? Because it's like it's so good at distributing itself in
Hmm.
different types of organisms and hold all this data. I guess that's where we're really at, right?
Hmm.
As far as like incredible things go, because we're doing that now. But
Would you make a baby if you could have like a build a baby? Would you do it? I mean, let's say tomorrow or
uh,
in 5 years it comes up and you and Alex have decided like, hey, maybe we'll have another child, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, these you can pick and choose your genetics for this child, and all you do is come in here, you give us your DNA, and you give us a sample of a few eggs and a few sperms, and we're going to give you some forms to fill out on the internet. You guys go home and sit there with your phones together and click these buttons and build a baby, and this is what we're going to give you. Would that interest you at all?
uh, well, not me. I'm not. I don't want to say not me and like have the like. I'm not against it. It's just not. I'm not gonna do it. I think I'm just. I'm getting too old, or like I was born too early. Like is what I mean by that. Like it's it doesn't feel right to me. I guess, but
You'd rather roll the
you know,
dice.
yeah, I would. I would. But I feel like I have such good genetics anyway. So
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I get it. You can pick which genes that you have available to you that you want to express. I think that
Right.
in the future, that's what everybody's going to be doing. Because the argument will be made that like, Well, look at all these diseases you're allowing yourself to possibly have. Look at like the suffering you're giving this child by making them regularly biologically born. All this stuff, like that's all coming. I don't think it's escapable unless we like go backwards.
How far out do you think we are?
I don't know, 50 years. Zaid?
Fit check.
What? Oh, you look good, man. We're going to be looking good. Here, look, Cam.
Let's see.
That's our Christmas.
King Zaid, what's up, baby?
Guy.
Got the socks too.
Nice, nice. I see you. Look at the chain.
W's.
My king.
Wait.
Uh-huh.
I definitely rolled the dice on this one.
Uh-huh. Did a good job.
Is that supposed to be a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing.
King Zaid in the house.
I love you, buddy. You look good. We're going to look good tomorrow.
What are you guys doing? Family picture?
Yeah, Santa. Pictures with Santa.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Are you excited?
Podcast?
Yeah, we're podcasting.
He should not edit me out.
I'm not editing
said-
you out. He's gonna, as long as your dad says you
You're
can
in.
stay in, you're in.
No.
You can stay in. I give you permission. Thank you. Love you too. What? Yeah, you can. Yep. Huh? Yeah. It's late. See? That's perfect timing.
great job.
That's perfect timing.
It was perfect timing. You're right.
He said, would you roll the dice? I'm 20 years old. This kid, I had this kid walks in the door. Are you kidding me? I'm rolling the dice every time. That's a message. That's a message from God.
Amen.
He
I
said,
like
roll
it.
the dice.
Yep. I like it.
Come on.
I like it.
I mean, okay, so you're like, I'm going to design, I'm going to do a designer baby, 50 years, probably less. I'm doing designer baby. Like, okay, so now you've expressed all these genes and now you get robot kid.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get goofy, fun kid that just came in the door. You get, because everybody's maxing out intelligence. Oh, intelligence is how we do, all the best things. You have to have high intelligence to do anything. Okay, so now we've maxed out intelligence. Now we got a bunch of GPT-4s running around.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, the Rubik's Cube can be solved in 3 steps. Like, okay, I don't need everybody to be autistic, right?
Right.
We need, the diversity is a good thing.
Agreed. What a place to end it. I think that's where we end it. Was that moment right there. I think that was it.
I love it.
That was great. Sure, nothing else you want to touch on? I know you said you had some topics. You don't remember any of them? We're out of here?
Yeah, when was the brain? When was RNA, DNA? I mean, we kind of like grazed them because of the other stuff. Everything's related, so it's like.
You going to be up for a group chat here soon?
Absolutely. I was hoping you're going to ask me. You still haven't asked me into one.
Well,
I'm getting all the people together. It's like, fine.
I am.
I'm ready.
Well, I'm trying to get 10 in for this year. And this is going to be 7, and then I got Andrew tomorrow. That'll be 8, and then I'm going to try to get Bill in. That'll be 9. And before the end of the year, I want to do a group
Christmas special.
Sure. Or before
New Year's
New
special,
Year's.
whatever it's called.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to be on Christmas. I mean,
no, it's not going to be on Christmas.
We'll call it the Christmas special.
Okay, I'm in with that. Before we go, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Oh man, it's a Muppet Christmas Carol with Michael Caine.
A Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I love that thing, man. It's so good.
It's weird because there's people in there and Muppets.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. What are you talking about?
I didn't say nothing.
Die Hard.
Oh, I don't fuck with Die Hard. Die Hard's not a Christmas movie.
Wow. But it takes place on Christmas.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the Christmas spirit.
Right, I agree.
It's like...
Christmas movie. Hold on, sorry. I just want to add in there, I like all the old Santa movies, like, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
The OG.
Like 1960s. Yeah, I love those. But I guess it's like another Muppet thing, right? It's like claymation. Maybe I just have a thing for the Muppet movies.
I mean, the best stuff was built before 1969. Everything was built before 1969, so...
Except for A Muppet Christmas Carol. That's after.
Was it? Are we sure it wasn't conceptualized before? Because it's
Yeah,
actually a Charles
Michael
Dickens. So.
Michael Caine's pretty old in that movie.
Is he? Yeah, he is pretty old. You're right. Now that I picture him, he's real old.
He's Abba Sneezer.
I don't like saying the term old anymore. I want to stop saying old. I don't like it.
I want to say it. Old.
It's fucked
I'm
up to
old.
call people old.
Are you feeling old?
No, I feel young
Okay,
as fuck.
I'm just making sure. I'm making sure. Because you look young. You look like you feel, I bet. So you look
I think
young.
that's I really believe that. I think that is the truth.
You are an
I'm
enigma.
gonna drink some water. I'm gonna drink some more water right now.
You are an exception to the rule of aging, I guess.
Thank you.
The
Water.
forever man.
Water and good energy. Do not let the stress in. Cheers. There's no reason to be stressed. Right on time. Heaven. You're on the right
Amen.
path. God put you in the right place. Fighting that, you're just fighting God. You have no clue
Let it happen.
what's happening. Yes. Just let it rock. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. We're fasting from the 15th to the 22nd. I'm thinking I'm going to do broth for a couple days. Yeah.
Oh, come on, man.
Guy. I just don't know if I can go without food for 7 straight days. I've only ever done 3. So it's...
All right, you do have a young baby, a little baby.
I've done 3. I've done 3. No food at all, period. 3 straight water.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about...
You can do 3, you can do 7. Come on.
This guy. I mean, doubling it is 6. We're going more than double. I mean...
I've done 5. That's basically 6. Yeah, 6 is basically 7.
I should be focused on 5. It makes sense for you to go 7 if you've done 5. But if I've only done 3... You gotta go
7.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm thinking about doing 7 with some bone broth built in on day, maybe day...
That's probably for the best.
Maybe day 4 and 5, and then continue the fast. I'm trying to think, because I can definitely go 3 no food, no sweat. So my goal is I'm going to go as far as I can, but I'm not going to I'm not going to go to where I feel dangerous. I'm going to listen to my body and see what's going on. And if I start to get shaky or iffy with a newborn baby in the house, I'm going to drink some fucking bone broth.
I agree.
And
Don't let me get to you.
It only has 6 grams of protein and barely any calories. And then we're going to continue as much as we can. And then on the 22nd, we're eating steaks and Oreos.
No, you got to ease into it when you do it that long. You got to have like a smoothie. You got to wait a little bit. You got to prime the stomach. You'll make yourself sick. You hate it, don't you?
No.
You can have an Oreo.
No, I don't hate it. These are the things I don't know. If I did 5 days, I would know this, but I'm going from 3 to 7. It's a big jump.
Fine.
It's a big jump.
You'll be fine.
It's like thinking you're having a baby and then you're giving triplets.
That's a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining like, you like do the bone broth. Colby's like, yeah, I'm doing the bone broth too, and then like I don't do it, and then like the 7th day, I'm like a dried skeletal husk, and I'm like, I feel great, like they're all laughing at me, like blow away in the wind.
So join us on our fast. Maybe we'll do another podcast before then, maybe. And
during the fast.
Ooh, that's a good idea, Evan. I like that. A day 3 podcast. No food.
Yeah.
3 days in, we'll do a podcast. I'm with that. 18th.
Yeah.
Well, if we start the 15th, 18th would be 4 days. So maybe the 17th.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, just after 72 hours, like at least 72 hours then, right?
Okay.
So like whatever that falls
comes next. Yeah. Yeah, of course. You got 3 kids. And I've got a baby upstairs. I can't believe I got a podcast. This is my first podcast as a dad. We're doing it. I'm doing all the things. I'm working a job. I'm
America, baby.
America. Let's do it. Oh.
You're going to get tired of winning.
Oh, I missed
America, baby.
There it is.
I didn't get the you're going to get tired of winning. It'll be on the next one. I have it cut up, but you texted and said you're ready, so here we are.
Send the jet.
Kids stealing. Woo!
That's me on that ride. Oh my god.
It's such a good
Oh,
one. That's your chat NFT.
I was going around 100 miles
Send the
an hour.
motherfucking jet.
Yep. All right. We're out on that. King Evan, I love you very much. Thanks for lighting the way for
I love
me
you too,
as a
brother.
dad. You're an awesome man, and I'm lucky to have you as a coach and a guiding guardian angel. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Anything you want to tell the people before we get off of here?
I love you.
He does. All right. Should have bought Bonk. See you guys out there.
Oh, Bonk, what?